coffee competition and inflation, Starbucks now is running out of steam, you might say, and laying off hundreds of workers.
A major shakeup for coffee giant Starbucks, the iconic chain announcing the closure of 400 of its shops nationwide, including several here in the Bay Area.
Analysts estimate nearly 500 stores in the U.S. and Canada are closing, meaning more opportunity for competitors across North America.
Starbucks, one of America's most recognizable brands, is now closing stores, cutting staff, and quietly admitting something it hoped no one would notice. It can't handle the crushing costs created by Trump's tariff policies. The company has already revealed plans to shut down more than 400 locations before the year ends. That announcement stunned employees, rattled investors, and exposed just how severe the damage has become. And this story goes far beyond coffee. It's about real people losing their paychecks, families losing stability, and entire neighborhoods watching pillars of their local economy disappear. Trump claimed tariffs would bring jobs home. Instead, they're wiping them out, pushing up the cost of everything a business like Starbucks relies on, from imported beans to packaging to basic equipment. If a corporation this massive is struggling to survive tariff-driven inflation, imagine what's happening to the small businesses with no cushion at all. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of the globe, China isn't stumbling. China is seizing the advantage. As Starbucks shrinks, Luckin Coffee, China's fast-growing homegrown rival, is exploding in size not only across China but inside the United States too, where it's beginning to carve out its own share of the market. Beijing is stepping into every space American companies are abandoning. Trump's trade war isn't slowing China down. It's slowing America down. And China is turning every US mistake into an opening. While hundreds of Starbucks stores go dark, Chinese competitors are racing forward and expanding into the gaps. This is the part no official wants to say out loud. What we're watching right now is the early phase of an economic unraveling that will reach far beyond Starbucks retail, logistics, manufacturing, construction. The shockwave will move through all of it. The question isn't whether this spreads. It's how quickly. Stay with me, because in this video I'm breaking down where this crisis began, how it's tearing through American jobs, and how China is outmaneuvering the US at every single step. Make sure you subscribe right now so you don't miss what others won't tell you. Let's get started. Starbucks didn't suddenly wake up one morning and decide to shut down hundreds of stores. These closures are the direct consequence of Trump's tariff assault. A policy sold as a way to revive American jobs, but one that instead triggered layoffs, rising costs, and corporate retreat. Starbucks relies on a deeply interconnected global supply chain. So when tariffs of 30%, 60%, even 100% hit imported goods, the impact didn't weaken. It slammed straight into Starbucks' bottom line.
All right, let's talk tariffs and coffee, because President Trump's newest round of tariffs could make your morning cup of coffee more expensive. The White House just hit Brazilian goods, for example, including coffee, with a 50% tariff.
Coffee in America isn't just a habit. It's an industry almost entirely dependent on imports. Coffee barely grows anywhere in the continental US, and the small farms in Hawaii and Puerto Rico produce nowhere near enough to satisfy national demand. That leaves the US relying overwhelmingly on Brazil, Colombia, and Vietnam, the global coffee giants. Here's where the cost shock begins. Coffee from Hawaii can cost $30 to $40 per pound because of high wages and limited farmland. Meanwhile, Brazilian beans enter the US for a fraction of that price. Every affordable cup in diners, offices, and Starbucks stores has always been built on these low-cost imports. Without them, cheap coffee simply isn't possible. Trump's tariffs destroyed that balance. Heavy duties on foreign agricultural goods didn't pressure producers abroad. They hit Americans at home. Importers raised prices. Roasters saw costs spike, and customers immediately felt it. In many places, the same cup of coffee suddenly cost 30 to 50% more. The fallout was quick. Cafes closed. Small roasters struggled to survive. And everyday customers started questioning whether a $7 latte was worth it. And it wasn't just beans. Everything inside a coffee shop, furniture, espresso machines, cups, and lids, became more expensive overnight. Starbucks watched expenses explode while customers resisted higher prices in an economy already weighed down by inflation and shrinking wages. The math broke, and the company began pulling back. Executives tried to disguise the crisis as restructuring, but the truth is visible everywhere. Stores are closing. Employees are losing hours. Communities are losing familiar gathering places. This isn't restructuring, it's retreat. And none of it was necessary. Instead of protecting American companies, Trump's tariff strategy turned their operating costs into liabilities. Starbucks became collateral damage in a political experiment. And its workers are paying the price. And this is only the beginning. The real question now is, while Starbucks crumbles, who is stepping in to take its place? Inside Starbucks' headquarters, executives are working overtime to keep everyone calm. The CEO keeps repeating that everything is fine, that these shutdowns are part of some long-term strategic adjustment, and that the company is preparing for future growth. But anyone paying attention can see that the story inside those press releases does not match what is happening in real stores. Baristas and managers report the same pattern nationwide. Shifts disappearing from the schedule, hours suddenly slashed, and stores closing with almost no warning. Departments that once felt secure are being quietly dismantled. This isn't forward-looking strategy. It's damage control, a scramble to survive the financial hit created by rising costs and tariff pressure. If business were truly strong, Starbucks wouldn't be boarding up locations that once brought steady traffic. The corporate messaging isn't aimed only at employees. It's also crafted to keep investors calm and prevent the stock from spiraling. Starbucks is a massive publicly traded company, and its executives know exactly what happens if they admit how severe the problems have become. But the market can do math. Analysts on Wall Street have already pointed out the shrinking margins, and the company's own filings reveal what leadership won't say out loud. Growth has flatlined, profit is being squeezed, and expansion plans are on ice. In the middle of all this, workers are left trying to make sense of two realities: the polished corporate narrative and the harsh day-to-day truth. They see their hours vanish. They see teammates leaving not because they got promoted, but because their positions were eliminated. Their paychecks tell them far more than any memo could. And here's the part that stings the most. Trump promised that tariffs would bring jobs back, rebuild American industry, and protect workers. But instead of saving jobs, those policies are stripping them away, starting with the very people he said he was fighting for. Starbucks has become a clear reminder that tariffs don't hit China first. They hit American workers. And what we're seeing now is just the first wave. As Starbucks shrinks under the pressure of rising US tariffs, something very different is unfolding across the Pacific. China isn't just holding its ground, it's advancing. The tariff war that was supposed to weaken Beijing has instead opened the door for Chinese companies to step into spaces American brands are abandoning. Nothing illustrates this shift better than the fight for China's coffee market. For years, Starbucks was the symbol of Western lifestyle and modern culture. But that dominance is fading. Luckin Coffee, once written off after its accounting scandal, has rebuilt itself into a national powerhouse. With ultra-low prices, strong local backing, and a fully digital app-driven model, Luckin is adding customers at a pace Starbucks can't come close to matching. The reason is simple. Starbucks is being crushed by higher import costs, tariff-driven price spikes, and rising expenses abroad. Luckin, meanwhile, operates entirely inside China's protected ecosystem. Its supply chain, logistics, and digital infrastructure are all built domestically, untouched by the trade war. And now Luckin is even expanding into the United States, flipping the usual pattern of American brands entering China financially. China has been vital for Starbucks, bringing in roughly $3 billion a year. But high rents, expensive labor, and aggressive discounting have squeezed profitability. Local chains like Luckin and Coty sell drinks at prices Starbucks can't compete with, and customers who once paid for the foreign premium are now choosing cheaper domestic options. The pressure is so intense that Starbucks China may soon change hands. In July, the company received takeover offers of around $10 billion from Chinese buyers. Management hasn't accepted, but the offers themselves show how unstable the situation has become. Starbucks tried to slow the decline by cutting prices on iced coffee and tea by about 5 yuan, roughly 70 cents, But the discounts haven't stopped the slide. What was once its most promising international market is becoming a financial burden, and analysts are questioning how long its premium strategy can survive in a market dominated by low-cost rivals. Luckin faces no tariff penalties, no retaliation, no political cost, and consumers see it. To many, Starbucks is now an overpriced foreign luxury, while Luckin is the affordable everyday choice. And this shift goes deeper than revenue. Every Starbucks retreat in China reduces a piece of American cultural influence in one of the world's most important markets. As Starbucks steps back, Chinese companies move forward without hesitation. Starbucks isn't just retreating at home, it's losing ground globally. And as global markets tilt toward China, the economic balance tilts with them. And here's the real warning. The same pattern squeezing Starbucks is now appearing across other industries. From transportation and logistics to packaging and small businesses nationwide, Starbucks' collapse isn't a standalone crisis. It's the first visible sign of a much wider economic chain reaction. Every time tariffs push costs higher, that increase spreads through the entire system. Coffee doesn't just appear in a cup. It has to be imported, roasted, packaged, shipped, stocked, and served. Stores need furniture, cleaning crews, repairs, and local contractors. Thousands of workers and small businesses depend on Starbucks' day-to-day activity. And when Starbucks pulls back, entire networks feel the shock. Consider the trucking industry. Starbucks needs national delivery routes to keep its stores supplied. When hundreds of locations shut down, delivery volume collapses. That means fewer routes, fewer miles, and fewer hours for drivers. Small trucking companies, which operate on razor-thin margins, often don't survive that kind of sudden contraction. The same pattern hits packaging companies that produce Starbucks cups, lids, and containers. And the ripple reaches construction crews too, the ones who build new stores or remodel existing ones. When Starbucks freezes expansion, those contracts vanish overnight. All of this from one company scaling back. Now imagine the impact as the same tariff-driven pressures hit every sector: retailers, manufacturers, restaurants, even healthcare suppliers. All are facing higher costs and thinner margins. The American Chamber of Commerce has warned again and again that tariffs don't only affect China. They slam American businesses that rely on imported materials to keep their doors open. Yet the administration continues to push the narrative that tariffs equal strength. Meanwhile, unemployment edges upward, small business bankruptcies climb, and workers feel the consequences directly. Lost shifts, shrinking paychecks, health benefits cut, families leaning on credit just to stay afloat. And here's the simple truth. If Starbucks, a global corporation with billions in annual revenue, can't withstand these cost increases, small businesses have no chance at all. Tariffs aren't acting as protection. They're functioning like a demolition tool. And with every hit, American jobs crumble while China quietly positions its own industries to fill the gaps left behind. While Americans were forced to pay higher prices at home, countries like Brazil adjusted almost instantly. Instead of fighting for a place in the US market, they simply shifted their exports elsewhere, to Europe, the Middle East, and especially China, where demand stayed strong and governments were eager to sign long-term, predictable trade agreements. These new buyers didn't just absorb the coffee that America pushed away. They gave Brazil and other producers a more stable, less politically volatile future. The irony is impossible to miss. Tariffs that were supposed to strengthen the United States ended up strengthening America's competitors. The US cannot replace goods it doesn't produce. Coffee barely grows domestically, and what little Hawaii produces is far too expensive to make any difference. So as imports dried up, prices surged, and the global market quietly shifted its center of gravity away from America. This trade war was sold as a strategy to rebuild American power. Instead, it exposed just how vulnerable the system really is. And if you think this ends with coffee, it doesn't. The next round of tariffs will reach much deeper into everyday life, raising prices on essential goods and hitting families even harder. Stay with me because the consequences unfolding now are only the beginning.